My name is Joe Dalton, entrepreneur and business coach. Welcome to Breakthrough Brands. Each week we bring you an inspirational story and an insight to the minds of some of the top business leaders, authors and mentors from around the globe. Whatever is needed to make you shine in life and business, you'll find it here.
On today's show we have Eoin Clarke. Having joined Switcher in April 2011, Eoin has gained extensive knowledge of the energy and telecoms markets and understands the issues facing both consumers and suppliers. Eoin manages supplier partner and customer relationships for Switcher.ie and is keen to enable people to find the best deal from Irish suppliers because Eoin believes that inertia costs.
If you wish to reach me about any of the topics covered in this episode or any other episode, you can get me on WhatsApp 086 821 0037 or email joe@jdc.ie or follow me on LinkedIn under Joseph Dalton. I also need your help to spread the word. If you could please take 2 minutes to share, like or make a comment on this episode, I would be truly grateful. Hi folks and welcome to Breakthrough Brands. Before we get off, I'd like to reach out to Paul in Canada. Paul says, Joe, I love your show and it has inspired me to keep plugging away at my business. And also Jonathan Kelly in Cork. Joe, love your weekly podcast. Keep up the great work. I'd like to say thank you folks and I'll be doing a couple of these every week. Hi Eoin.
Hi Joe, how are you?
I'm very good. Eoin, we know each other as friends a very, very long time. Your career has probably zoomed up the ladder. Your business that you're running at the moment is probably well known in many households right across Ireland. Before we get into that, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into the marketing end and your path to where it led you now.
Yeah, I mean at the moment I'm CEO of price comparison website Switcher.ie, and that was founded in 2011. I mean, prior to that, my early career was in the print space actually, so it was all offline stuff. So it was printing on plastic, printing on paper, and back in the noughties, I worked for a print management company where I would have managed some of Ireland's top accounts. So we're talking the likes of DigiWeb when they rebranded to O2, Anglo-Irish Bank was a client back then, Bank of Ireland, Trintech, some really strong brands.
Yeah.
And that gave me a foothold into the corporate world as such. But the print game back then was a very competitive game, and it's a very price-driven industry as well. I mean, the quality of print was quite high back then, so there was a number of manufacturers producing high-quality print. So whether you got an order sometimes or a big contract was based on price, and it was really around that time that I felt that there was a shift in habits and a shift towards online. And probably one of the things that kind of stays with me was the launch of DOL.ie, which was Digiphone Online, where as part of my print job, we were tasked with printing millions of CDs and CD covers.
I remember them actually.
Those CDs were then given out to customers where they could access their Digiphone account online. And really at that point, when I look back to dealing with people within DigiWeb, they had a very large marketing team that handled things like above the line, outdoor print, etc. But they hired in a specialist from the UK to deal with online. It was just one person. If I recall, it was Sarah was her name. And I found now, if you go in and meet with a Vodafone or that type of company, it's nearly done a complete 360 in terms of they've a huge digital team that's looking after social, SEO, email,
and one printer guy.
Yeah, and maybe the print is most likely outsourced or done through some form of agency. So really back then there was a shift towards online, and it was really at that point that I stepped out of I stepped sideways actually, and I stepped out of the print industry and made a decision to go into things like design which was more online. And then an opportunity came up back in 2005 to work with a very good friend of mine. His name is Bob Hoffman. He was a very senior corporate sales guy in DigiWeb for a number of years, and he's a good friend and good mentor. An opportunity came up to work in a company called newaddress.ie, which was a startup. And we're talking, this is back in the height of the housing boom as such. And our service was a free service to consumers, where if you're moving home, which a lot of people were doing back in 2004, 2005, 2006, that you could fill in your details on this site and say, this is my old address, this is going to be my new address.
I remember it, yeah.
And then you can select 3 or 4 or many, if you were with Vodafone, or if you were with a bank, or if you were with Superquin even for your club card points. You could select all the companies that you're connected with. A new address would then go and give the information, the updated information, to the people you're connected with.
I actually used them when I was moving from Wicklow back up to Dublin. Yeah,
really good service. I mean, it was a great team, very small team, and that got me into the, I suppose, entrepreneurial startup sides of businesses. And in that role, I was able to fulfill many functions within the business, whether that was sales, which was primarily my role on the corporate side, but also the marketing side of it, in terms of what it takes to launch a brand and build a brand. And I gained a lot of experience from that role, and really from there it went upwards in terms of me working for digital companies. The next role was for Need a Hotel, which was more or less a hotel's website, and that was quite popular back in the day. And I mean, the hotel websites now, I mean, are part and parcel of our life. If you go back 20 years ago, I remember somebody saying to me, you know, you can now book hotels online, but I'm not sure about giving my credit card details, because there was no trust built up with brands back then. But I mean, the consumer confidence in purchasing products online has never been greater.
You can now use your phone to pay for something now, so that's how far it's gone from trust to actually having your details on your phone.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, tap away. I mean, the world has certainly changed. So from there, I spent probably about 2 years there, and an opportunity came up then to work with a European affiliate network called TradeDoubler, and I joined their team as sales director for the Irish market, and I was part of a 3-man team that set up the Dublin office. And they had a London office. In fact, they had 18 offices throughout Europe. It was a really large operation that specialised in driving online sales for merchants. So a merchant could be anybody. You could be Lifestyle Sports, for example. It could be Vodafone. It could be Superquin, Tesco, Dell, Apple. I mean, when we set up the company first, we were able to take some international clients with us to help us set up the business. That would have been people like Nike and people like Dell and Apple and so forth. But by the time I left, which is probably about 3.5 years afterwards, we had spread the word of affiliate marketing and the power it could bring as a cost-effective channel for any online merchant. And we had something like 100 clients then, across different verticals, so travel vertical, consumer electronics, fashion, retail, shopping, etc. Anybody who was really interested in driving online sales. And the affiliate model is quite attractive in that it was it's cost per acquisition. So if a sale is generated, for example, if the product value was €100, the merchant or the seller of that product might be prepared to pay somebody 10% for that particular sale. So the idea is that, say, for example, there's a website called shoppingdeals.ie, and on that there's a Tesco voucher or a link to the Tesco website where they can shop online. And if they shop online and transact, that's recorded, and then the website or affiliate website will earn commission.
And where did that lead you to then?
Interestingly enough, I roughly around that time, I'd actually started a college course, which was quite interesting. It was one of the first digital marketing courses in Ireland. They're very popular now. So it was in Dublin with the Fitzwilliam Institute, and there was probably about 30 students. I think it was definitely the first time that they had run this course. And through that course, I mean, it's probably one of the aspects of my career as well, is that, you know, the ability to be able to network. I met an awful lot of people on that course, and one of them was actually the lecturer. And they didn't cover affiliate marketing on that particular course. And he asked me, would I stand up in front of my own class and talk for 20 minutes about affiliate marketing. From there, that spiraled into, could I speak for an hour and a half, and could I carry out then a lecture for 3 hours. I mean, and since then, I mean, it's quieting down a little bit now with work commitments and different things. But, you know, back probably about 6 years ago, you know, I might have been doing a couple of lectures a week for different colleges as far
on affiliate.
On affiliate marketing, and performance-based marketing is what it's called.
We'll jump back to affiliate in a moment. So leading to where you are now, tell us a little bit about how the company started, what it took to build a brand, and how you're developing it continuously.
Yeah, I mean, in the early days, Switcher.ie was known as Uswitch.ie. We were part of the Uswitch price comparison group in the UK, which was ultimately owned by a company called the Forward Internet Group, which specialised in kind of innovation and creating companies and acquiring companies. I mean, at one point they hired or employed 500 people in London. So we were lucky in the sense that we had a brand, but we had no team and we had no technology. The technology couldn't transport, even though there was no language barrier to entering into the Irish market. It was technology from ground up, it was people from ground up, but we did have a support mechanism and advice that people that were, I suppose, in a big comparison market that could offer advice. So from day one, it was, you know, was buy a laptop, hire an office, and
I remember it,
hire people. That was probably the most challenging time, I think, in terms of just the commitment, being by yourself for maybe an 8-month period where you're trying to get things off the ground.
I think it was you know, a test to yourself, and I say a lot of pressure as well, that a company decides to come over here and they say, right on, I want you to run the show, and you go, right, I'm on my own, how do I get this to where it is now? I mean, it's you know, the advice I would have is that, I mean, you have to be passionate about what you do. I mean, I'm very passionate about what our company does. I mean, we help people save money. It's a free service. I mean, I was on a radio station earlier on today, and we were talking about, you know, how much an average family can save by switching gas and electricity. I mean, it's €340. Any role that you step into, if you want to progress in your career, I think there's a number of unknowns. I mean, you've got to be able to take a little bit of a risk. So I was very proficient in corporate sales. I was very proficient in the digital aspect of what we do. But there were some areas of the role, in particular things like web development, for example. A lot of that was new to me. Things like agile marketing and, you know, being able to release products on the site and so forth. But I mean, you do pick that up over a period of time. But I think if you want to push forward, you have 60% confidence in the role, but there's a 40% that, you know, you've got to get in there in the first 6 months, and you've got to knuckle down and you've got to learn that stuff, and that's kind of the make or break period, you know, that kind of 6 to 12 months when you enter into a new role at a top level. You've got to be able to turn the corner quickly, and that will take dedication. I think it's getting that role, but learning to understand that the stuff that you're not good at, to delegate, but knowing what it is so you can talk to the person what you're delegating. Yeah, I'm like that myself. I'll learn something and then I go, right, I have a good understanding that I'll delegate it now to someone else. Yeah.
I mean, probably one other aspect for me was that, you know, I was primarily in roles where I was, you know, corporate sales and digital sales, and it would usually be me going into meet 2 or 3 people. I mean, as the company has grown, I think you've hit the nail on the head, is that you now have a team, and in some areas of the business we have 1 or 2 or 3 people working on particular projects at any one time, and it's about that trust and delegation that you need. So you need to be able to trust people, give them autonomy, and that reaps benefits. I mean, if you want to hire good people, what's the point in trying to monitor everything that they do or dictate everything that they do and plan out their work for them? The reason why you've hired good people is that what they can deliver to the business, and you have to give them a certain amount of space to be able to do that, and also trust to be able to do that. And over time, that will bring job satisfaction for the employee, and in 9 out of 10 cases will bring really good results for the company as well.
Stick with what you're good at.
Yeah,
definitely,
exactly.
Like, I was amazed with Switch when it came over here first. Like, we'd be sitting at watching TV, and there was companies in the UK offering price comparison for phone and electricity, but no one was doing it over here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of companies doing it now. I mean, the timing of our launch. But you were the first, weren't you?
I
mean, there was one other company. I won't mention them, our competitor. But so I think the timing of the launch was very important as well, and the time that we set up the company, because it was 2011. In 2008, if you remember, the world collapsed here in Ireland. I mean, there was job losses. People were really under pressure for money. I mean, in certain cases that hasn't changed. I mean, there's a lot of people still under pressure to pay bills. I mean, a lot of the research that we would show that the electricity bill, for example, over 60% of people will feel pressure to pay that bill. So by reducing your bills, obviously that
was a perfect time for you, Dan.
Yeah.
It's you came into a time when it needed. It'd be different if you came into it 2-3 years before, when people didn't really care how much the price of a sandwich was, or they were just throwing out money. No one was really looking at price comparisons.
Yeah, I mean, we have some recent enough figures from the CRU, which is the Commission for Utilities Regulation. And 5 years ago, about 1% of switchers switched using a price comparison website. That's now jumped up to about 7%. I mean, there's around 15% of households switch each year, so there's still massive room for growth there.
Has that got to do with, yes, we all switch, but we're sick of the guy knocking at the door at 6 o'clock going, can I tell you about, and people, you spoke about it earlier about giving your credit card details and fraud, that no one likes people calling to the door anymore at 6 o'clock because it's dinner time or whatever, especially with families, but they'll go online. The trust is there now where it wasn't a long time ago. Compare on your site and then get the best deal as well. Yeah,
I mean, the great thing about our price comparison website is that it is accredited by the energy regulator. I mean, we've been accredited to provide price comparison web services for 4 years and hopefully into our 5th soon. So what that means for a consumer visiting the site is that the energy regulator has stated that our site is independent, impartial and accurate, so they can be confident they're getting the best deal. The disadvantage with the doorstep sale, there's a couple of things on the doorstep sale. I mean, the disadvantage of it is that you're only seeing one deal from one supplier. There may be better deals in the marketplace. Now, the advantage of it is that there's still a portion of society that don't go online, or just are out of reach, for example. So they don't have access to maybe the deals, and the doorstep offering from an energy supplier will give them a gateway to a better discount. So there's still a high proportion. I mean, it could be as high as 45-50% of switches take place on the doorstep.
What was your biggest difficulty when you were setting up the company?
I mentioned earlier on the technical challenge. So that was an area that was new to me, was web development, and also trying to hire people as well, the right type of people for the project. And you want these people, if they're writing code for your site, you want them to stay with you for a long period of time, because it gives you, if they're good, of course, it gives you a steady base that you can work from. If there was somebody working on your code for 6 months and then change over to somebody else, they have a different way of doing things. So I think that was one of the challenges, was to try and, we're building technology from the ground up. It's complex comparison technology that houses hundreds of tariffs for broadband and energy. I mean, the products that we compare is gas, electricity, broadband, digital TV, and home phone. And we've recently enough launched some SIM-only comparisons for mobile phones. So the technology aspect of it was a big challenge for me. But I mean, every year that I've been in the business, which has been, it's coming up on 7 years, there's always a new challenge every year if it's an outside factor. I mean, probably one of the biggest ones was in 2015 or towards the end of 2014. Uswitch was sold, and it was bought by a large property portal in the UK called Zoopla, and we weren't part of that deal, and we separated out our business, and at that point we rebranded to Switcher.ie from Uswitch, and that was definitely a challenge, because we had spent time building a brand in Ireland, and we had to reinvent ourselves and launch a completely new website. It was probably the most difficult time of the company was to reinvent ourselves and build a new brand, and I'm pleased to say that we did that very successfully.
Just going to take a short break. Are you looking to boost your performance, motivate your sales team, have an all-round structure to your marketing? Get in touch with myself at Breakthrough Brands or contact me at joe@jdc.ie. In your opinion, what makes a good brand?
I mean, there's lots of things. I mean, for us in particular, I mean, we spent a lot of time when we rebranded from Uswitch to Switcher. We worked with an expert agency called Richards D to help us create and build a new brand. And, we wanted to take, what our brand represents and try and bring that online. So things like trust, things like clarity, transparency, all of those things have to come true in a brand. I mean, we were lucky to come up with a name that is descriptive of our business, but also descriptive
Clear
of our
message.
Yes, very, very much so. Descriptive of our company, descriptive of the employees in the company, and descriptive of our customer base and our target base as well. People that switch and save money. And I mean, the word switch and save go together like beans on toast as such. So that name and things like color scheme and what the brand represents, all of those things were vitally important back when we chose the name.
Yeah, I think a lot of companies, when they're trying to brand, they forget the clarity, they forget about the message that they're trying to say, and they get lost in all the wonderful other little things, and they brand a product, but the message is wrong, and they don't really get out there to their clients.
Yeah, I mean, again, we've probably seen throughout the years, we've seen lots of businesses that have come and gone, and New Address was a business that I was involved with. As I said, it was a fantastic business. I mean, back in the day, it was
the
purchased.
Post office have that now wrapped up, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, it was purchased by before the property bubble burst. It was purchased by My Home, which who in turn were purchased by the Irish Times Group. So, what the name represents, like New Address, which is true. This is my new address. Is very important. I mean, there is when you're in the startup mode, as we were, I mean, you have limited funds. I mean, what you're trying to do is reduce any overhead that you have to keep as lean as possible. You're trying to keep costs down as well, and you're trying to grow a sustainable business without burning too much budget.
Okay, so say there's people who are listening to this and are entrepreneurs and they're in startups and they have a great brand and they believe in their product totally. How would you say to them, or what would you advise them to do to start getting business, to get clients?
Yeah, I mean, it depends who. I'm going to focus on if they have a consumer product.
Yeah, and that's what we are. Yeah.
Yeah, if they have a consumer product and they're trying to attract people online, that would probably be my specialist area. I mean, the first thing to do is don't sit around for 6 months and build a product thinking that you've got the best product, and then launch the product, and for some reason it doesn't it isn't effective or it hasn't worked out however you planned, you've wasted a lot of man hours, you've wasted a lot of time in 6 months, and probably the approach that we would have taken back in the day is to say, let's launch what's called MVP, minimal viable product. Let's launch, and we did this. We launched one comparison page with Sky TV deals on it. And what we did was we attracted traffic to that then via Google AdWords and search, and we measured and monitored the performance of one page. And from that actual one page, I mean, we built our whole broadband product. But we started very, very simple, and that was our first income to the business. I won't tell you what amount it was; it was quite small. But that's what we did. Rather than build a large price comparison engine, you're limiting your risk. You're limiting. Again, it depends. I mean, if you're in a company that's well funded and so forth, we were,
you can afford it.
Yeah, we were a very small team trying to achieve goals. I mean,
and what do you do now? Do you believe in SEO? Do you believe in AdWords? Do you use Facebook? Do you use what sort of?
Yeah, I mean, most of our channels are digital channels. I mean, search is very effective in the Irish market. I mean, you're talking about Google has 90% dominance. So pay-per-click or AdWords is an important channel. SEO is vitally important. I mean, you want your business to be found if people search for a particular keyword. So that would get, a certain amount of our attention. I mean, email marketing as well is a great way to reach out to people if they've opted into your database. So we've forever got deals on the website. Those channels are important. I mean, and attached to that is trying to build your brand and try and create direct traffic. I mean, we do that through PR, for example. So we're probably the only price comparison website in Ireland that carries out independent research.
I've seen them. You've published some reading content as well, white papers to. When you publish a few white papers for the
I mean, we would certainly, what we do is, what's key for us is in our role as a consumer champion, trying to help consumers save money, is to find out the issues that a consumer would have. Do they have difficulty reading their bills, for example? How often do they open their bills? Have they been overcharged? Can they pay their bills? Yeah. So all relating to broadband, things like, are they satisfied with their speed? When was the last time they switched? And we tend to publish that and highlight the concerns that customers have, and I suppose in a way be a voice for the customers to be able to say, 70% of customers have a difficulty with this particular aspect of the energy market and so forth. So it's an important voice, and I mean that feeds into our overall strategy to try and make sure that we're a voice for consumers.
Question I have for you as well. We're coming to the end. Affiliate marketing. There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of people online offering affiliate marketing and the right way or the wrong way. Small amounts, large amounts, and there's you jump onto Facebook and people are telling amazing stories about becoming millionaires because of affiliate marketing.
There are
YouTube,
there are YouTube channels, for example, where there's kids reviewing toys, and they make $7 million a year and so forth. I mean, our whole business model is based around affiliate marketing. I mean, basically what we do is we resell somebody else's product, and in return we earn a nominal commission fee for providing that service. What that does allow us to do is it keeps the website free. So any of the commission that we earn is reinvested into the business, into people, into technology, to provide a better service and help even more people switch. But just to go back to your question in terms of affiliate marketing, I mean, when I was sales director of TradeDoubler, which back then was Europe's largest affiliate network, I was quite confident walking into any of the top kind of consumer brands that had an online presence in Ireland. So we could be talking about people like Arnott's, Super Queen, Tesco. I mean, there was a whole range of merchants that we worked with. I was quite confident that we could add incremental sales to their business via online, via our affiliate channel, and that figure would usually be around 10%. So it is possible. I mean, there's, if you take an online merchant, for example, that's selling clothes or fashion in Ireland at the moment, they will rely on email, they will rely on Instagram, they will rely on search, they will rely on PPC, all of those things that bring traffic inwards to a site. But if I was in control of that business, I would certainly have an affiliate program as well, where you're adding incremental sales. And probably the largest USP associated with affiliate marketing or performance-based marketing is the fact that it's cost per acquisition, it's a CPA model as such, and you will only pay a commission on sales that are generated. And if somebody transacted today, for example, there's usually a 15-day pending period where product can be returned and then no commission is paid and so forth. So affiliate marketing 20 years ago to where we are now has evolved, and the level of transparency and the tracking that's involved. Some of the biggest brands in the world are heavily involved in affiliate marketing. Back in 2007, Apple, for example, didn't need to advertise in Ireland in newspapers, or they didn't have any TV ads. They just operated on the strength of their brand. It was only really when Samsung started to push them a little bit, and there was potentially a little bit more competition, say in the tablet market and the smartphone market, that they've come out and spent some money. But we were told back then that roughly around 20% of all their online sales was coming through the affiliate channel. It was a massive one for them.
Yeah, it's a big win.
Yeah, but they have the brand to be able to sustain that.
But it's like when we turn this show into a podcast, 70% of people listen to podcasts on iPhones. Like, it's a big amount on it, and then everything else is distributed with different podcast channels.
Yes, the importance of smart devices, and in particular broadband, because that's part of our business, switching people to broadband deals. Access to broadband is now seen as an essential utility. It's up there with gas and electricity and water. Now I know we need water to survive and we need heat to survive, but ask any parent if the broadband goes down in the house.
It's a nightmare. Kids can't imagine what it was like without it.
Exactly. Yeah. So we probably had that maybe back in the 70s, where the TV went and you'd have to go up and give it a belt.
We'll come to the end of the show, Eoin. A couple of questions I want to ask you. First, give us the web address where people can find the company.
So it's Switcher.ie, and as I said, it's price comparison, free price comparison for gas, electricity, broadband, home phone and digital TV.
What about car insurance? Will that ever come online with us? I know it's a big topic. Health insurance and car insurance.
There's health insurance. There's a couple of people out there at the moment that are helping consumers. There's a couple of websites out there that operate that are helping consumers. It's a tricky one to deliver online because there's so many different variables in terms of your policy. But there's certainly
confusion.
There is confusion. A price comparison website, will take that confusion.
Best business advice you've ever received?
Good question. I think for me, it's that you can't do everything yourself. You will try and take on so much. If you do that, you're not going to succeed. So the advice would be, there are times you're going to have to roll up and do a lot of work, especially if it's a startup, if yourself, but you need to surround yourself with good people. That would be the advice. And those good people might come in the form of employees, or they might come in the form of friends or family. I'm lucky that I have a combination of everything, but one big one for me is that I've had different mentors at different stages for different areas of the business. So I could name somebody that has helped me with data and analytics and operations, for example. I have a mentor in that space. I have somebody based in London that's a mentor in the finance space that will help me with, financing the company. So and then I have somebody on the corporate sales side that I mentioned, Bob Hoffman, who's a friend of mine. He's helped me throughout the years in terms of developing skills. And having those mentors on board gives you a soundboard to bounce off. Sometimes you might need to blow off some steam, but also there's probably, because they've been through it, they will give you open, honest advice, and it might save you time and money.
Experience is wisdom.
Oh, it sure is.
What book would you recommend?
A book that I've read, I mean, it's quite a popular book. I mean, it's called The Lean Startup. It's by Eric Ries. I mean, a lot of people will be familiar with this book, or maybe people that have been in my position or have set up a company. I mean, it's a book to help startups. It's a strategy book to help startups, and the aspect of lean startup is, as I said, is, you know, you can jump into a project with 2 feet, start spending lots of money, but you know, there's that saying, keep it simple. It's called KISS, keep it simple, stupid. I mean, you want to keep it simple. You want to keep it lean. You don't want to, you know, let costs spiral out of control. But you want to be able to evolve what you're doing and do that quite quickly, and have the ability to be able to be agile if it isn't working, to pivot and move on to something else, that you're not, your time and the company's time and resources aren't spent on something that doesn't deliver.
Yeah, I think it's spend wisely in the beginning. That's I've learned that myself. Looking back, spend wisely.
Yeah. Money goes quickly.
Yes, it does. What song would you like us to play out with, Owen?
I'd like you to play a song from 1969. It's Led Zeppelin. It's called Ramble On. And the reason why I picked that song is my sister was born in 1969, and we talked earlier on about mentors and so forth. My sister has been a constant support in my life, whether it's business or outside. And, one of those people where you can bounce ideas off, or, sound ideas off, or blow some steam off, and is always there. And the title of the song is appropriate as well, because I think in any business throughout the existence of the business, you're going to have difficult times. And you really have to knuckle down. I mean, you will have difficult times. You do need support. You do need some downtime as well. But you've got to ramble on, and that's the name of the song. You've got to keep on going. I mean, keep the focus, and try and enjoy what you're doing. I mean, that's a huge part of it as well.
And all those entrepreneurs out there, what would you say to them? Keep plugging away?
Yeah, I mean, in some cases, people, I know somebody that was involved in 7 businesses, and I mean, number 8 was the one that hit the gold mine. So that certainly can happen. I mean, there has to be an element of risk to it to succeed. And I mean, some of the statistics that are published in terms of the creation of businesses in Ireland is really encouraging. The number of domains being registered, I think, has never been higher as well. Yeah, so there's a lot of individuals out there that would have great ideas, and maybe need support, or maybe need direction. But I think a good idea is one thing, but being able to execute it and implement it is a different thing. So there's a lot of facets to it.
I know a lot of guys who are buying a lot of domain names, especially .ies, because they see the future down the road. So maybe that's what's happening. Eoin Clarke, thanks for coming on to Breakthrough Brands. It's been a pleasure.
It's my pleasure, Joe. Thank you.
And I'll talk to you soon.
Leaves are falling around. Time I was on my way. Thanks to you, I'm at your blind. Such a pleasant state. But now it's time for me to go. Oh, the autumn moon lights my way. And I smell the rain, and with it pain, it's heading my way. Oh, sometimes I get so tired. Just one thing I want to do. Sing that song. On my way.
This show was sponsored by Harris Myers, your sales and marketing agency, helping you develop a better sales and marketing pipeline.